Okay, I just finished the trail a couple days ago. So, it's time to put this stuff away. I thought it'd be fun to record myself talking about the shit I carried. Okay. First of all, outfit. I had this green REI shirt. Served me pretty well. It's got like 2,500 miles on it at this point, and it has really no signs of wear, so that's cool. Random Dick's Sporting Goods shorts. Nothing fancy. Smart wool socks, like ankle height. I had these ex officio boxers. That's pretty standard, I feel like. Shoes, Ultra Timp 5s. Can't say enough about them. I didn't see too many Lone Peaks this year. A lot of Topos. Barely any Timps. I really like the Vibram sole and the little thicker cushion. Yeah, it's a great shoe. Went through, this is pair number 5. So everybody's a little different with their preference on when shoes are worn out, but I found 400 to 500 miles was pretty solid. Okay, backpack. Hyperlight Southwest 40 liter. I like it. The material's pretty good for the AT where it's so wet. It's definitely not totally waterproof, but it's pretty water resistant, so can't go wrong. It's holding up really well. Yeah, 2 smart water bottles, of course. I used a Platypus Quick Draw. I think Sawyer still reigns supreme is what most people carry, but I don't know. I like the Platypus. Of course, smart water bottle with the sport cap is pretty critical. Okay, in this here we have first aid stuff. This kind of grew over time. There's nothing crazy in here. There's some duct tape, ibuprofen, KT tape, Imodium, Nightcore, NU25. Again, pretty standard stuff. Can't go wrong. It's pretty cheap. It's got a lot of features. It's light. Toilet paper and Dr. Bronner's. You know, can't go without that, of course. Okay, and then on this side of the pouch, I would keep this Sawyer bag with a pair of sunglasses. I don't think I ever put these on trail, but I carried them the whole way. These are terrible, but I didn't feel like investing in a Canuck bag out there, so I stuck it out with this. I didn't really use this much unless I wanted 3 liters at camp. And then I have my dry bag that I would hang my food in. And then we got, of course, the rock bag with rope carabiner. Nothing crazy there. I did hang my food most of the time when there wasn't bear infrastructure, even though it's a really annoying task. And then what do we have? We have a crusty pair of socks that I left in here just for the very end. Yeah, I wouldn't really alternate socks. I would have 1 pair of hiking socks, but those just got absolutely disgusting on like the second to last day, and I just like whatever. Then we have bag of tent stakes is just in a Ziploc. I mostly had MSR groundhog stakes, but then also had a couple of these random silver ones. Nothing crazy there. That's about it. In here I've got a pen, body glide, and bug spray. This is the Natrapel. Terrible, does not work, but it's like all I had. Okay, on top here I have a Patagonia Torrent Shell rain jacket. This is, you know, I think it's a little robust for the AT. It's heavy, it's on the heavy side, but I loved it for its insulating value. I used it most of the time when it was chilly to hang out around camp, or like cold starts. I would have this on, and you know, it would keep me pretty warm in cold rain. But of course, like in the summer when it would rain, you just don't wear anything. There's no point. You're just gonna be wet regardless. Got my trekking poles stashed here. These are LL Bean telecarbon 3. I don't know. They're trekking poles. Not much to be said about them, honestly. They serve me well. On the outside here, I have this little piece of foam sit pad. Didn't really use this a whole lot, but I don't know. Times when it was cold or wet or something like that, it was nice to have this to throw down, keep the butt a little warm. Okay. Oop. Got some trash in here. So on the right hip belt pocket, I would always keep snacks for the day. And on the left, I would keep my phone. So I have a couple of Ziplocs to keep it dry in there if it's raining. And then we get into the actual backpack, of course. On top, Z-Packs Duplex. Hurts to purchase a $700 tent, but it's worth it. I mean, of course, on the AT, there's plenty of nights where you're going to sleep in a shelter, but or maybe not, depends on your preferences, I suppose. But either way, you're going to carry the weight, so 18 ounces is pretty solid. I only had one night where it rained super hard, and I pitched it improperly, and all the water pooled in between the mesh and the bathtub and the actual like fly piece. So I woke up swimming basically. But other than that, super solid tent. You know, it's kind of a gold standard of thru hiking for a reason. Okay, now we have rain gloves. These are just like rubber work gloves. Work super well. They keep your hands pretty dry because they're made for working in wet shit. Keep your hands pretty warm. At a certain point, they do wet out, just like everything. But these were nice to have. I actually I was given these on a really cold, wet day in the Grayson Highlands when I couldn't feel my friggin' hands. So that was pretty nice of that guy. Yeah, just random thing there. Now we have the food bag, which is pretty empty. I would keep it in one of the OpSac odor-proof bags, and basically what I would do is keep the dry bag on the outside, because I found when I hang my food in the rain, I didn't like putting this massive wet blob into the backpack. So I keep the food in the backpack and keep this on the outside. But yeah, I mean, I went through 2 of these, I think. So I would say it's probably not blocking out too many smells, but yeah. And we have Toke's titanium pot. Pretty standard, everybody carries it. Have a MSR pocket rocket. Again, nothing crazy. Then I have my Tyvek ground sheet. Pretty basic. Again, I wouldn't say I love this. I mean, really, I carried this for nights when I was going to sleep in a shelter, so I could have something to put underneath my pad. I think that I might be better off with just a piece of polycro. It might be a little lighter, but you know, you're just pinching pennies at that point, or pinching grams, I should say. Then I have the important stuff in this white trash bag. So I have Nemo Tensor inflatable pad. This is the regular wide size. I think that for the peak of the summer, it was a little too much R value. It was pretty sticky and hot, but this thing is probably about this wide, and it's like almost 6 feet long. So it was like a little twin size mattress out there. So I knew sleep was going to be important, and this is definitely heavier than a Thermarest Neo Air, but I don't really like the super tapered mummy shape, especially considering being out there for 4 months. I wanted to prioritize sleep, so it was worth the extra few ounces there. Next, we have another random thing that probably a lot of people wouldn't have or think to carry. These are mosquito black fly no-see-um mesh pants. So when the bugs got really wicked, they would brutalize my legs, and there was just seemingly nothing I could do. And out of desperation, I started looking into like just like full bug net suits, and I found these on Amazon for like 15 bucks. And it really saved me toward the middle part of the trail there when the bugs were fierce, especially around camp, because it got to a point where you couldn't even stand around. It was so bad. But yeah, great investment. And I think as opposed to bug spray, this is a nice way to go because this isn't a consumable. This is always going to be sitting in the pack. It just works. Never going to run out. So yeah. Okay, next. Enlightened equipment, Torrid, Puffy. Again, kind of gold standard product of through hiking. Can't go wrong. I sent it home for a little while and then got it sent back, and was glad I did. The old advice of get your winter stuff back for the whites is definitely pretty sound. It can start getting pretty cold, and especially heading into Maine, it was getting really chilly, so it was good to have. Not the warmest jacket out there, I guess, but nice and light. Worked for me. Below that, I would have my electronics. There's really nothing crazy in here. I carried a 20,000 brick. Maybe it's a little more than others might need, but I found that the AT was, like, the service was not what I was expecting. You had reception so often, so I was playing on my phone a lot more than I might have thought, so it was good to know I could always have enough charge on the longer stretches. And then I just have two USB-C to USB-C cables and a little Anchor charging brick. This is 65 watts, so it had USB and two USB-Cs, so I could charge multiple things at once and they would charge quickly, which was good because you got to always be charging ABC, right? And below that, we have clothes, again in one of these dry odor-proof sacks. So I found with the Hyperlite that it was really water resistant, but water would get in. And I don't know if I just have an older model or something, but this material on the bottom does not seem to me to be the same like thick Dyneema as the rest. And I don't know if it's just wear on the shoulder seams or something, but basically when it would really rain, water would kind of puddle in the bottom here. And in the beginning, I didn't have this kind of stuff in these sort of bags. And there were a couple nights where I opened up a wet sleeping bag. So I started keeping the clothes and the sleeping bag in more of these bags. So in here, got a Alpha 90. This one is by Levy or Leave. I don't know how you say it, probably Levy, but not a whole lot of thought went into which brand for this because they're pretty exclusive. So I just hit purchase on the first website that said it was in stock. This is a fantastic material. I was pretty surprised by it. When you purchase it, it's pretty flimsy, and so I didn't know what to expect, but like, man, it's so versatile. I would sleep with it mostly, but if you put this underneath your rain jacket or your puffy, it's like rock solid insulation, and it's so light. It's like 4 ounces, so can't go wrong there. At night, I would shove this into this REI stuff sack as my pillow. In here, there's a couple other things. There's a synthetic long sleeve that I didn't really use a whole lot. When it was colder at night, I would put this and this on for sleeping, and it was super solid. And then there's a buff, black buff. Not something I used a whole lot. There were a couple days in the Smokies where I kept this on my face all day, but other than that, it just kind of was dead weight, honestly. But yeah, then we have long smart wool socks. These were like sacred socks for camp, for sleeping only. Never came out of the pack for any other reason. Never got these wet. These were amazing to have on colder nights, of course. Most nights I would switch into these LL Bean merino wool leggings in puke green color. These are 150 gram weight merino wool. Can't go wrong with some merino wool leggings out there. Perfect like sleep pajamas. You know, wear them sometimes when I'd wash my hiking clothes in town and there weren't loaner clothes available. Not much you can really say about that. And then I have basically a town t-shirt. Didn't start with this. I got this at a Trail Magic and just ended up keeping it in the pack because it's kind of nice to have, especially if I were to stop in a hotel stay where there isn't, again, loaner clothes to put on. This would be nice to just have something soft and not stinky and synthetic to freshen up in town. Okay, and then we have the final piece, sleeping bag. So again, this puppy got wet multiple times, so I ended up, it's triple wrapped, it's in this bag, it's in a stuffed sack, and it sat in this, and after that it never got wet again. So this is in just a Z-Packs stuffed sack. But what we have here is an REI Magma 30-degree quilt. It has a sewn foot box. Doesn't have like clips or anything up the like actual body of it like an enlightened equipment quilt might have, but it does have a cinch at the top here where your head would go. And I would find if it was really cold, just having this one clip at the top to put around my neck made all the difference in the world. For a little while there, this was way too much. But I think any quilt in like July in Virginia is going to be too hot. So I just kept it the whole time. I have different rating sleeping bags, but I didn't swap it out at any point. So I was pretty happy with that. Yeah, that's really it. That's everything I carried from Georgia to Maine. I was pretty happy with everything. I didn't switch anything out the whole time. I started with everything, and the only things I added were those bug net pants and the gloves, and that was like situational. I thought that these kind of videos were really helpful when I was in the final planning stages, and so I figured I would do this as I unpacked everything. Yeah.